Hey, how's it going? This is Jason Tucker, and today I'm going to play around with ChatGPT a little bit. I wanted to see if I can improve I guess it'd be like the SEO, but also just the overall metadata that YouTube uses to help with figuring out what it is that someone wants to listen to and watch on YouTube. So I thought I'd play around with this a little bit and take existing data that I have in WordPress and in YouTube and take that data as well as um, some information that I have regarding the title or the existing title rather, as well as the description that I hand wrote, as well as other pieces of information, and see if I can take that and somehow make it into something that would be easier for someone to do a search on YouTube for in order to find the content. Now I'm gonna go through like a couple of past episodes that I've done of WP Watercooler and see if I can pull in some of that data and kind of manipulate it a little bit and see if that would work out for us. So let me screen share here real quick, and we can take a look and see how this is set up. So Chat GPT, I've been asking it a bunch of questions on our most recent episode to try to see if I can come up with a better way of writing my titles as well as other bits of information. So pulling in things like the description of the YouTube video, the title. I also even went so far as to even pull in some of the let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, right here. Pull in even some of the like closed captioning transcript stuff and see if I could use that as a way of generating better metadata so that way I can kind of pull us in. So playing around with a little bit, I'm essentially kind of like asking Chat GPT, like, what is it that you can do for me with the information that I have here? And then how can you kind of rework it for me? Now, what's neat about this is, for instance, I asked it, based on this big blob of text that I have right here, this whole thing right here, based on this, could you come up with some SEO terms to help with kind of getting this, making this a little bit easier for me? So what it did is it went in and told me that, you could use artificial intelligence in WordPress. You could say WP Community Collective, Media Library Rewrite, Collective Editing, and WordPress. Um, I asked for a whole bunch of different things. Now, what's neat about this is you can also ask it, hey, can you simplify this list and give me some comma separated values so I could just copy and paste it in YouTube? And sure enough, it can do exactly that. So I'm able to, it would just spit out a nice clean list without any of the extra, stuff explaining everything, which was nice because it kind of helps you with, um, it's essentially showing its receipts to, make sure that you understand, hey, collaborative editing in WordPress would be good because you were talking about this in this particular paragraph that you showed me earlier or content that you showed earlier. So that's super helpful. Um, so what I wanted to do is take an episode where we kind of jumped around all over the place in this and see if that would be something that we could actually build out a better looking description, as well as maybe even optimizing some stuff like the title. Like this episode's one of those episodes that unless you're like really deep into WordPress, you don't really care about. So trying to pull in as much as I can of getting people to watch this particular content would be nice. And looking at this particular content we had 73 views on it 2 weeks ago. So 73 is I love this. You know, so 73 views on YouTube, and being able to see if I can kind of make more, get more views out of this particular video. So the way that I would go about doing that is I'll get logged into YouTube real quick, and then pull that up and play around with that a little bit. So let me get logged into YouTube. And I might end up having to just share the whole screen here on my computer. Let's see here. Okay, go into my channel. Okay, go into videos. All right, so we'll edit this particular video. All right, let me get you back over here. All right. And let me stop sharing my screen, and I'll share the whole computer screen real quick. Share the entire screen of the screen. Okay. So, so I have, some content here. I could give it, for instance, all of this, copy it. I'm on my gaming computer, which is why I'm on Windows here. So I can go over here and I'll create a new ChatGPT conversation and say, using the content, using the description of this YouTube video. I'm just going to ask it. And if you, I've been doing stuff like this where I've just kind of put it in quotes. And let's see if it will come up with a thing for me. So it looks like it's kind of going through and rewriting what was, what was talked about. And so, what we did here is over on the right hand side on YouTube, I have, chapters that are set up on YouTube, as well as like who the panel is, and some pretty basic stuff. But what it did is it kind of went fluffy and said, welcome to our recap of the recent, and then we'll also be talking about topics like mentoring and the release squad, so it kind of just like expanded out a little bit, which I think is nice. Can you write this more informal? So you start asking it questions like that, and statements to see if it can kind of help you out with doing some rewriting of that content. And okay, so we did that, and you can see that now I have a decent amount of text in here to kind of work with. So I can take this, and let's just say that we're going to reuse it just for that. Now I can say, based on this content, can you provide me with SEO keywords for YouTube? So it's going to write out the keywords that it thinks are are good. So it's also saying, giving you some information like keep in mind it's important to use these keywords in a natural way rather than trying to stuff them into the video description and title. It's also a good idea to do some research to see which keywords are being used most frequently by your target audience and use those in combinations with more specific targeted keywords like those listed above. So now I have that. I can also tell it, say, can you format this in comma? So I can tell it, hey, I'm lazy. Can you just make this in comma separated values for me? So taking this, I can go over to YouTube now. And in YouTube, I use a tool called TubeBuddy. And TubeBuddy has a bunch of, like, I don't have any tags in this one. I think I probably just left for the day and didn't spend a whole bunch of extra time putting this content together. So I can go in here and we'll save this real quick just so I don't lose it and do a quick refresh. So looking in here, I can see that it found like plugin concerns isn't really like a term someone would look for. Stay of the word, maybe WordPress event. Stay of the word is probably, better. Probably be better to do. So you can see how it finds some related content here, and if I want to, I could even like dig further into it to see if it's something that's good or not, or something like that. It looks like, interest over 30 days. There was a tiny bit of interest in it. We're a smaller community of people, so you're kind of going to get what you get. But I can take that. I can now sort that. So we can sort it by rank and get us there. Going back over here, I can see, like lead developer. Like, I don't know if these are okay, but it's probably not the best thing. So the next thing I could do is go into my transcript. So I store the transcript in here, and I get this transcript from Descript. And so looking at Descript, I can kind of figure out like what sections of this might be better to use. And also me being on the show, I kind of have a feeling for how we were going through and talking about things. So I might be able to take some of this. Let's say we'll take this whole section here, a couple minutes worth of content, and then say, so we can go over here and then go into ChatGPT, and we'll start a new chat. I'm always so polite to this thing. Please summarize this transcript from a YouTube video into a YouTube description. So I can give it that, put some quotes around it. Let's see what it does. Kind of interesting how it takes this and then comes up with a solution here. It says the speaker mentions that some of the questions in the chat were rhetorical and may not be answered. They also mentioned the topic of artificial intelligence. and the ethical use of data sets in relation to WordPress team. So like you could go through here and probably cherry pick some words or something to see if this may help with coming up with some tags to put in here. It also would even, help if you wanted to kind of rewrite some of this stuff or add some more information into the description to make it a bit easier for someone to find that information in here as well. So being able to take from this transcription that we did and use ChatGPT to come up with some better information for that description. Um, Looks like it might be a thing that we can do here. I'm skimming through this, and if you're in the chat watching, feel free to chime in a little bit here. I'm kind of going through and seeing what information might be well worth it. All right, so like Courtney's talking about some stuff here, and they're still talking about Scott. So I could like take this for instance. Um, Based on this transcript from a YouTube video, can you all right. So it's going to go through and try to summarize this content. So it says the speaker mentions a plugin called Pods, which is free and open source, may also be a paid extension. Oh, okay. So like, you can kind of get some of this information. So if you're wanting to take your if you're wanting to do show notes from your episode, you could do something like this and break it up into smaller chunks. So that way, if someone's not wanting to listen to the show, you could grab like this whole section here and, copy it and then go over here. And, when they're talking about this, we could add this in here and say, it was mentioned that a plugin called Pods, blah, 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 blah. So you could do that. Wow. Okay. So that went a little funky. All right. So let's save that here. So I think we got a better description out of this particular episode than what I had before. So that's good. One of the things that I was playing around with was if you take content like this and give it to ChatGPT and say, based on this description of a YouTube video, what is a good title for it? So, it's going to give you kind of what you think it should be, and it knows since you're giving it the parameters. When I go run this, you can see that it stays within the confines of a YouTube video, saying that needs to be less than 100 characters. So I could do that and give that a shot just to see if one of our names ranks better or something like that. But that might be a good way of approaching it too. Let's go back to another piece of content here and see if we can try to do something a little better with one of the descriptions. So here is one that we did called content creation for a WordPress brand. And I think I did a transcript for that one. So let's go take a look at that. Yep, here's our transcript. So I can Chat GPT doesn't really like having like a lot of content in here. It wants a smaller amount. So what I would say is scroll down a little bit in the content and see if you can find some sections in here about maybe the person that we're interviewing, which this one in particular we're interviewing Doc Pop, and so maybe we want to get a little bit of a understanding of like who he is or something like that. So going in here, creating a new Chat GPT discussion. I think there's a way you can tell it that in here as well, but um, anyhow, so we can say based on this transcript of a YouTube video titled Content Creation for a WordPress Brand. And this based on a okay, we'll do this. A YouTube video titled Can You summarize the transcript from this episode? We'll do something like that. So it took, what Doc was talking about in his description and is allowing me to kind of rewrite some of his stuff in here. Like I kind of wrote that myself when I, set this up, but um I can tell it say, can you include this type of content into this okay. So now I'm taking the information that I went out and researched on him and is also kind of rewriting this as well. Can you make this longer? So, I can kind of use this as, so because of the fact that it has Jason Cosper's name mentioned in this, it read that it knows who he is and how they were talking to one another, which is kind of interesting because the way it wrote this is it says that Jason Cosper introduces Doc Pop as a so that's kind of an interesting way of looking at that content. If you're digging down a little bit further, you can find a particular question and maybe even ask them, ask Chat GPT to take that information into consideration for maybe if you're trying to do like a Q&A type of thing or something like that. I know at one point I asked him, Let's see here. So taking like this information here. So like we can do this, go over here and tell it, say, so it's going to go through and try to summarize this a little bit. So we were talking about a March Madness style competition using WordPress plugins. And so, you know, they kind of went through and discussed how that all gets put together. So if you wanted to go through and kind of clean up each one of these kind of Q&A things, you could use the summary method as a way of doing that. I want to see if it had. No, I thought it might have had something to explain a little bit more on that part of it. But I think summary is probably one of the important pieces here, but also like, if you wanted to say, what are the. So you can, ask it those types of questions and it'll tell you whether or not it could even find any. Um, so I think the thing that I've learned so far is that you can't just give it this huge blob of text and expect it to be able to turn it into content that or reuse that content. But you can definitely take like for instance this episode, I should be able to get a better description out of that if I wanted to kind of pull in some of the keywords that were mentioned throughout that content. So I think the big thing is having the transcription kind of at your fingertips there. So once you get through any of the opening stuff, I could then, let's see here. Let's see. So this is them talking about themselves and introducing themselves. So if I take like Courtney's whole, wow, okay, let's see here. This whole thing, and say, create a new chat. The thing is, if you give it too much content, then it won't actually do that summary. But with this, you can get a summary and then do another summary and do another summary and then combine all those summaries together and ask it to summarize all of it. I haven't figured out a way to tie all those together without separating each of those queries, but that's something that can be done. Let's see here. So the transcription is about the challenges faced by contributors to the WordPress open source project. These contributors often juggle their contributions with other responsibilities, such as paying for their living expenses. So, if you wanted to, I could go in here and say, so if you're just trying to add a little bit more context around it, this might be something that's good. I don't know how well this works for like SEO terms from for YouTube, but I know by having someone be able to find this information a little bit better, especially if they're looking through the description, then it might help. You also probably don't want a huge wall of text, but hey, I think having more content is probably better than having very little content. I think if you give ChatGPT enough information, it should be able to do a bit of a summary for you and make it a little bit easier for someone to digest if they're not wanting to read the transcript or not wanting to actually listen to or watch the video. It's weird. I've had people say that they've only read the description or that they only read the transcript or I don't know, only reading the transcript's kind of difficult, but let's see here. The speakers in this transcription are discussing the challenges faced by businesses using WordPress want to contribute to the open source project. So pulling in that content might help a little bit. I'm going to look and see if there's anything else in here. New dimension. Like this one might have, yeah, like we have like very little description here. And even maybe even redoing this YouTube title might help this particular video. So let's give that a shot real quick. So I'm gonna go back out of here and we will go look at previous posts. Um, Oh, it was a different show. So I was on Dev Branch. Hmm. That's weird. Where's 436 at? Oh, weird. Okay. Do we have a transcription? No, I don't have a transcription. So that's not going to help me any. Yeah. Let's see if I can grab the transcription. Might even just go through that if you've never, seen how that works. So in here, I can go to the new dimension video here and I can download the audio recordings. Yeah, so these are like separated out tracks. And we use Descript for that. So Descript, yeah. You always have a new version. All right, so Descript. We'll grab that title. Okay, so that's downloaded. So we can get rid of the intro and the outro. Oh, this is a zip file. That's why it's doing that. Sorry. Okay. What's going on here? All right. Let's go into here and we will extract all. Okay. So let's get rid of the intro and the outro. And there's the three people that were speaking. Okay, so we'll do this. Okay, so there's us three. There is Descript, and we'll drop that in there. So it'll do a transcription for me. All right, so it'll do the quick multi-track transcription for me. And then after that, we can take that and use that data to have Descript make a summary of what was talked about on the show. So this takes a few minutes for it to go through and transcribe everything. So who's watching on YouTube right now? I see got somebody in the chat. If you don't mind saying hi, that'd be awesome. And I'll show you up on the screen so you can say hi. If you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. I do this every week, so I'm just adding this whole ChatGPT part to it just because it's interesting to see how to actually pull this information in and just kind of make it easier for me to get the information that I need to be able to do better show notes and stuff like that. So transcription's at 76%. Now it's not going to be perfect, and you can probably spend a lot of time going through and editing all of it. But for what I'm trying to do here, should be good enough. So you can see how like it picks up, like Say's being silly at the beginning of this episode. So there's that, and then clean up some of that real quick. All right, so looks like doesn't know what Say's name is, so let's fix that real quick. Windows. I love Windows. All right. She just says her name too many times. Believe that as is. All right. So let's go and tell it we want to do an export of the transcript. And we'll do plain text. That's fine. And we'll spit that out. All right. So we'll open up the plain text. So this is like plain text with no extra information in it. I don't want that. I want it to be a little bit different. So let's do export as a transcript. I want to include the speaker labels on every paragraph. And after paragraph breaks, yeah. All right, so we'll export that again. Text file. There we go. There's our text file. Now, say did say some things here, so let's fix this real quick. Okay. So there's that, and I'm going to edit this particular post. And let's close that out. See how the sausage is made here. We'll go into the dashboard of water cooler and go into here and find the one that's for the dimensions episode. And I use advanced custom fields. So we'll slap that in there real quick. All right, so now that we have this content, we can grab some of it. We'll go through any of the stuff at the beginning. All right, so like from here. Let's do like that. So we'll go over here and say, so it's going through and kind of looking at, can you make this longer? Here's a more detailed description. So because of the fact that I think we let off with like Mozilla is probably listed in here pretty early on. Let's see here. Yeah, I saw Mozilla show up a little bit. So let's try this much content just to see what it can do. Too long. Yeah, it's too long. Let's go back and paste that back in. So getting the summary part, I know like on the Mac, there was a tool that was called Summarize that would like summarize stuff a little bit. But I'd hate to use something like that because you're going to lose so much other information. But when you're trying to get a decent amount of this content into, as a summary, Um, it's expecting you to have like less info in here. Like you don't, it doesn't want you to have, like I'd have the speaker labels, but I think the time code stuff, yeah, I turned that off. Let's see if that does anything different for me. Okay, so that's less info, so that's good. Oh yeah, the other thing I didn't do is tell it to go in here and remove all the filler words and strike those out. Okay, so we took out the filler words. Now I should be able to export this as transcript again. And we're not including the ignored words. Okay, so that's a little bit smaller. Okay, so the thing is like, when you're having a conversation with somebody, you end up having a lot of like back and forth and back and forth. And some of those are good. And then other times it's just, people being polite and having a conversation with each other. So it's like you kind of have to, if you're going to have it summarize some of this, it might be easier to try to cut out some of that. Again, this is me just playing around with text. I'm trying to figure out like how to do better summaries and better, show notes for podcast. Let's see here. Um, all right, well, it's doing pretty decent. So it's going through here and saying, let's see if we can have it generate. That's interesting. So, when you're having to do a regenerate this, it hangs on some things. So like, is the WP engine part of it important or not? I remember during the discussion, it wasn't an important piece to this, but um, looking at probably cut out one thing is I'm probably spending more time than I would ever want to, just trying to get a summary. Yeah, so it's almost like you have to go question by question if you wanted to have it summarize it a little bit. Any of you in the chat, have you had any experience in this? I'm curious if there's anybody in there that's used ChatGPT to do a summary. No? let's see here. Write a YouTube. I wonder if I can give it a little bit more content. Eh, So I asked it to kind of replace the word speaker with Anthony, so at least it makes a little bit more sense, which is interesting because I did this one other time and it was able to take this information and make it so that it would use the the transcript with the person's name at the beginning of each of the sentences. But for some reason, it looks like this one's um, not doing that here. I'm not entirely sure why, but I mean that's that says Anthony also discusses his efforts to integrate WordPress with the metaverse and Web3 technologies. I mean, it's not bad. I'll add this into that in there. I'll edit that in a little bit. I do want to see if I can get another section of this. Um, so I can tell, I have done this before where I can say, um, please add this. Oops. So I'm having it also add this to the summary. I wonder if it would be able to do the rest of the episode as well. Let's see. I'm curious if I keep feeding it content, if I could then have it um, take all this information. Wow. So it definitely did. Um, right. Expand on this and write it in the form of a YouTube description. All right, so I'm having it write this in the form of a YouTube description. Oh my gosh, it's actually doing it. Wow. Huh. In this video, we explore the exciting new development of bringing the metaverse or virtual reality into the WordPress platform. We see how easy it is for content creators, artists, and scientists to create and participate in the metaverse using WordPress thanks to its accessibility. By using the native Gutenberg experience, users can create templates for rooms and even drag and drop 3D objects. Wow, this thing actually did a really good job. Much better than what I wrote. Wow. Huh. Let's see here. I wonder if it could take um wow. I'm impressed. Oh, that is pretty damn good. I'm gonna generate one more just to see if it does something a little bit different. Wow. That's that's really well written as well. Huh. I kind of like the first one. So yeah, you just keep feeding it stuff. At some point, uh, okay, so all the hashtag stuff is what I use on YouTube. Um, okay, so let's go over to YouTube. I'll throw all this stuff in there, and I usually throw this stuff at the bottom. Okay, so that stuff. in here as well. Okay. I wonder if it would rewrite the chapters. Let's see. Please rewrite these YouTube chapter markers for the eh, let's see. Can oh yeah, it did kind of rewrite it a little bit. Okay, sure. If we're gonna go all in, let's go all in, right? Okay, so then we can say, please provide me a list of YouTube tags I can use for SEO for this video. See what happens there. Wow. Okay. Try. I have this in a. Oops. Wow. I can't spell separated. There we go. Yeah. Now I don't have to redo it. Not bad. All right. So now we can take these and throw them into. Yeah, I don't have any tags in here. Wow. Okay. So let's save this. Um, and let's do. None of these are okay. Um, I'm asking it to provide me with a list of long tail keywords for this. Let's see if it can come up with any. So I wonder how well these would work on YouTube. Let's find out. Words are too long. Oh yeah. Me and my not being able to spell the word separate. I love that. Jeez. Okay. Let's give that a shot. So I've exceeded my character count by a few. Let's get rid of some of these redundant ones, I suppose. Metaverse analog? That's kind of funky. Okay. Interesting. I think having Anthony's name in there is important. So we can throw that one in there. Ooh, okay, we can get rid of that one. Save that. Interesting. All right, well, I think that about does it. I'm going to close out here and most likely end up setting this video to private. But we'll see how it goes.